Hi everybody and welcome back to the painting channel. Today I'm going to be doing a painting that uses several techniques from a big hero of mine by the name of Rowland Hilder. So let's roll that intro. Let's see what happens. Okay, welcome back everybody. As I said at the start, I'm painting a painting today that is not one of Rowland Hilder's paintings, but done using some of his techniques. Now, if any of you know the name, that's fantastic. You'll already be aware of how good the man actually was, not only as a draftsman, but as a watercolourist, painting quintessentially Kentish scenes, but doing many other subjects as well. Now, he's also written several books, I believe. I do own one of them and I treasure it. And if you, I will put the details of that publication in the details underneath this video. But at the same time, if you don't know who he is, then check out the name, check out the work and see how good he is and how much you've been missing. But I'm going to try and do a watercolor today of a scene off of the swale of a boat that's moored off the peninsula there. And I wanted to use some of the techniques that he did in his paintings. So without further ado, let's get on. Let's see how it turned out. Okay everybody, let's get this one underway. Now I wanted to keep the drawing element of this tutorial quite short, so I have speeded it up and I have jumped it in a few places, but the whole of the reference for it can be found over on my Patreon. You don't need to be a patron to download it. So long as you're learning from it, that's the main thing. So download it for free and have a go at this one. But the drawing is in basically two halves, a very, very low horizon line. Check that your horizon line is level before you proceed. Last thing you want is a wonky horizon line. It doesn't ever look good. But the picture is in virtually two halves. All the buildings on the left hand side I'm placing in now balance the picture or literally set the picture up on one side. Then the boat or the yacht that's on the other side creates a nice dynamic L-shaped design, but it also adds weight to the right hand side of the picture. That's why I chose this, because you've got that nice degree of interest to the left with the buildings and the peninsula, and then the land just falls away to the sea. But what then adds in the boat creates a nice dynamic. Now I used a ruler just to get that mast straight edge. I looked at it on the photograph and I just set the ruler up to be about the right way, and of course the fold foresaw that is all tucked away in that white mark on the photo. Now here comes the interesting part. This is where I wanted to show you a couple of the techniques that Rowland Hilder used to use in some of his paintings. He created lovely black dynamics with waterproof black inks, and that's what I'm doing here. So I suppose this painting is really an ink and wash. Now he used it to great effect, and he used the blacks into all those lovely shadow parts of the painting. Best seen in some of his snowy landscape pictures of the oast houses and barns and things like that. But it really does work. And when you add that to all the lovely beautiful violet hues, the cast shadows and the organic oranges and stuff that you can put into a painting, honestly, it's a great way of doing it. So what I'm doing is I'm looking at all the dark areas, the masts behind the buildings, the windows, the areas under the eaves or the roofs, anything that's in a dark cast shadow I'm putting in as black ink. Now you can draw this, you can use a waterproof ink source, you know, one of these proprietary nibs with a 0.5 mil or 7 mil or 0.7 mil of a nib, or you can use a dip pen, or as I'm doing here is I'm using a paintbrush. It's not one of my best, but it's a nice pointed Rosemary & Company. I think it's a series 401 and it's a number 4, but I just dip it in, take the excess off and then apply it with a paintbrush. I'm almost drawing with that paintbrush. I'm putting the groins in at this point. The ink is a waterproof ink. It's a document ink. It's got a hardener in it. It's called De Atramentis, I believe, and it's supplied by the Noodler Company. I think you can get it from there. I'm sure you can get it from other places. And you do not need to have that brand either. You can have any brand so long as it is a waterproof document style ink that will set hard dry, as it were, and will not give in to water no matter how much you throw at it. I'm putting in those lovely darks on the waterline on the yacht, and that little bit of decoration halfway on the side of the vessel, and that's pretty much it. There doesn't need to be too much more in terms of drawing, but this is definitely one of the things that I like about some of Rowland Hilder's work, is he created these lovely dynamics of ink and wash by creating the ink over his dark aspects of the buildings. I'm just going in and making sure that I've got all the little bits that I want to. I don't really want to come back in later on and have to apply more ink. I'm sure you can, and I probably, if I think about it, I've done it myself, but it's just nice to be able to get that part of it done and get ready for the painting. Now here's the second part of what Rowland Hilder used to do in many paintings. He put a very warm wash on for his sky, and also some of the other parts of the landscape too, but essentially he put this lovely raw sienna. Sometimes he mixed burnt sienna to it, other times some yellow ochres. All the time it's warming up and losing the cool cold color of the white paper, but giving it this lovely underpainting in a sense, which is very, very warm, ready to accept a layering situation. And that's what he did. That's what he nailed every time, the ability to layer his colors on top of this before and just create some wonderful skies and some wonderful textures in the landscape. Now I have let it totally dry, and I do mean let it totally dry, and I've dried it naturally, and I'm using ultramarine violet or violet ultramarine. It's a lovely color, and I've also mixed a little bit of cobalt blue and phthalocyanin blue together. Now I could have left a little bit of white paper in the center there to show that blue up a little bit more bluer, because of course all this color underneath is going to affect the overall blues and colors that you're seeing. But I don't think it's detrimental. I added a little bit of red, a little bit of Indian red into that mix then, and just brought that down behind the buildings. And I'm coming in with sort of heavier cloud. What I will have to say, and I forgot to say it right at the start, is I'm using 300-pound Arches paper, and it is a rough surface. So if I want to skip across the front surface of it, I'm able to do that. And also I decided that I would change the cloud formation. I didn't like the way that the photograph had the clouds and the sky. It didn't look good for me. I wanted to do this type of sky because, again, it's so typical of what Rowland Hilder used to do. And it was marvelous. It's very energetic skies and nothing too contrived. Let that brush skip around. Let those colors be entered into and put on quite randomly to a point. You know where you want to put your blues, you know where you want to put your clouds and stuff, but you know those brush marks are quite random, and every so often that lovely background of that warm color pops through. Now I'm putting on a very greenish color with some of the browns or some oranges and some of that violet color, so creating a bit of a green but a dull one. And I'm coming in with a bit more of the ultramarine violet into the sea, especially around near where that vessel is sort of laying sort of moored up, as it were, with its anchor down. But I've let all that dry now. That has to dry in layers. You have to make sure that before you carry on, the first layer is dry, and indeed once I've done the second layer, that has to be dry. So what that now leaves me the ability to do, to concentrate on sort of nuts and bolts of this painting. You know, the building, the roofs, I'm putting in some burnt sienna and some raw sienna mixes to give me those lovely red roofs, and I'm making the colors quite punchy. I want those areas to really stand out from the background and really look present, and they punch equally with that lovely black color. I've come in with a bit of indigo or Payne's grey, something of that nature, quite diluted, but I wanted that slate color. Those lovely slates in the sun are quite bluish, quite grey. and I'm bringing all those colours around, a little bit of burnt sienna, a little bit of yellow ochre into the sea wall. Now they will darken down, but I want that light colour in first, and it comes all the way down through into the sand, but I stop and I just lift out a little bit of that wall. That wall sort of tracks around and changes position against the sun, and at that point it just needed lifting out because it caught the sun more than anywhere else. I put a little bit of ultramarine violet into the bottom part of the stones or the beach as it touches the wet part of the beach. Now that wet part I've left at the moment as clear paper, nothing on it. I need the sand or the stone above it and the sea below it to be absolutely dry before I put anything in there. So I'm turning my attention now to the boat. Lovely blue hull, lovely sort of shadowy side to maybe what is a white boat, but just giving it that presence in the water. I didn't need it to be white, I wanted it to be quite shadowy, and I think it works quite well. Indeed, it could well be a bluish coloured boat, but I think it works, and I didn't sort of worry too much that actually the sun should have been on that side, making it a little whiter. I put quite a bit of violet around the area, but I didn't like it, so I took it back off with a dry towel, and it left sort of reminiscences of it. It left little bits of it here and there, but it really wasn't too much. I did take a lot off. Now I'm using a rigger and I'm drawing freehand down that mast. It's the worst part of a painting for me, trying to get these long lines. You can use a ruler, hold it just off of the paper surface so it doesn't track underneath the ruler or any straight edge, but I decided I'll be brave on this one and put a freehand line down. To a point I got away with it, but it wasn't perfect. I put the boom in, or that part of the sail that rests on that boom behind that mast, and then I put one or two bits and pieces in that really sort of appertain to the boat. Little bits of, well, I don't know what most of them are, but I just looked at the reference and tried to draw what I saw and not what I think I saw. Tried to construct what would have been the cabin and the wheelhouse on this vessel as best I could. At that sort of size, you're not going to put absolute detail in, and you don't need to. Just simply suggest it. Now the fun part, this is where it starts coming together. Adding those blue violets, a little bit of alizarin maybe with some of the indigos, or maybe some ultramarine blue. Any of those sort of blue red factors give you a nice violet colour, but on the blue side really work. And I'm putting those as cast shadows under the roofs of the buildings and around certain aspects to create that 3-dimension. And it's what brings the painting together. It's what gels all those precise bits of detail in the buildings and links them into the ground, and then places them in the overall aspect of the sky and the sea in front of it. And I think I really enjoy this part because, you know, you've done all the big bulky bits of the painting, and now you're coming down a little bit of less information each time. I'm coming in with that little bit of light violets shortly into that sea, and I'm now putting in some white body color to replace some of the areas that I've lost. There was a big white chimney, I completely missed that, but I put it back in with some white gouache. That doesn't matter, it worked very, very well. What I also do now is look and see where I can put little touches of body color, little bits of gouache, just to bring up those little white elements, those little areas within the scene that pick up some light. Don't want much, you don't want to overdo it, but just enough to tell the story. And that's what I'm doing. Now I'm looking at warming some of that up as well, and putting some bits and pieces of light in the groins. Here I am simply I's and T's. I've looked at it, I decided those chimneys on top of the building needed thickening up. I got some dark colour and indigo, possibly, I'm not quite sure what I picked up, I think it was indigo, and a little bit of sepia, just to give them that dark accent. Now the porches on the front of the buildings, quite a dark burnt sienna, and a little bit of blue just to take it off the red base a little bit, But that's the roofs in, and then just coming with a slightly lighter value color into the main part of the structure, bringing it to the ground. And we're pretty much there with the painting. You know, it's just a case of checking all these little bits of information that you've been doing, and just a little bit of shadow on the wall there that will emphasize the lovely lights and darks on the sea wall, and where they sort of start touching the stones. It's a cool shadow, but just enough to really throw out the warmth in the wall and the light in the wall, and that's quite important. And literally, I'm done. I'm finished. I've had so much fun doing this. One of the last things I want to do is put a little bit of area in the sea. I want to put in a little bit of ripple. Now, you can overdo that quite easily, so watch it when you come to do that. But I'm going to use some cooler color and just suggest little movements in the sea, slightly darker, slightly bluer than some of the colors that are already there. Don't overdo it, but keep them nice, keep them moving, and of course they get a little bit bigger as they come closer to you, a little closer together, and thinner the further away they go from you. But that just gives life to the sea. It suggests movement, and you can use them to direct people's view or gaze to move in towards certain subjects, in this case like the boat. But it does work very well. Now I'm going to get the white gouache and a straight edge and put that front lead edge, or whatever it is that houses the foresail, wrapped up. And I'm also using the white body color just to give the superstructure on the vessel a little bit of highlight, where the sun's catching it right on the top of whatever the housing is called, and the cabins on the vessel. So in the last few moments of this painting, I just wanted to mix up a little bit of a blue shadowy color that will sort of suggest 3 dimensions on the cabin on the top of the vessel. So you've got the lovely shadowy sides, and you've got that sun catching the very, very top. But last of all, what could you not get away with a seascape without seagulls in? So let's put a few of those in. And with that, I'm going to say cheerio. Catch you all next week. Take care. Bye-bye. Well, everybody, there you go. I had a lot of fun painting that. I do hope that you enjoyed it as well. It had interesting points along the way, and I suppose you could call this a mixed media or an ink and wash. Certainly, I think you can call it an ink and wash. But I had a lot of fun doing it. Now, if you enjoyed this process, the reference to this painting will be over on my Patreon for you to download for free. It doesn't cost you anything. You do not need to be a patron to download it and use it. So long as you're learning from it, that's fantastic. But while you're over there, look around. You may well want to get involved with my Patreon. There's so much on offer. There are live streams every fortnight, and there is a community page dedicated just for my patrons. So check it out. And I'd love to have you on board and love to welcome you there. But as I said, you don't need to be a patron to download the reference for this tutorial, but please have a go. But if you do one, then why not seek out my page on Facebook, which is Painting with Paul Apps, and add it there. Ask to join, you'll be admitted. It's there purely for all the people around the world that look at my YouTube videos and have a go at it themselves and create something that they want to showcase, and that's exactly the place to do it. So I'd love to see some of the results to some of my videos on there too. And if you've made it this far in the video and have enjoyed it, then please give it the thumbs up. Do all those normal things, you know, add comments and share it with your friends. But above all, please subscribe to the channel. It really would help the channel grow. And I just wanted to say a great big thank you to Jenna Rainey. Now, Jenna is a big channel in the United States, a great watercolorist, and she so very kindly last week put a shout out to my channel and to spread the love, as she puts it, to create more interest in what I'm doing and a greater following and a lot more subscribers. And I thank all of you new subscribers who've come on in the last week or so because of that lovely shout out. So thank you for that. Thank you, Jenna. and power to your paintbrush for doing that. That's jolly kind. And if you're not a subscriber and you're watching this and you do like what I do, then hit that subscribe button, click the bell icon, and it tells you every time I upload a brand new video, and that is normally every Friday at 3 p.m. So with that all said and done, just leaves me to say and wish you all very, very happy painting times ahead. But wherever you are in the world with the current situations, please stay safe, and catch you all in the next video next week. Take care. Bye bye. Hi everybody, and welcome back to the painting channel. And today I'm going to do something a little different. I'm actually going to use a couple of start again then. Hi everybody, and welcome back to the painting channel. Today I want to paint a watercolor that uses a few techniques from Hi everybody, and welcome back to the painting channel. Today I want to paint a watercolor for you. I want to paint a watercolor for you. Hi everybody, welcome back to the painting channel. Today I'm going to be painting a watercolor that is Hi everybody, welcome back to the painting channel. Today I'm going to be doing a watercolor, and I'm going to pay homage to a hero of mine by the name of Rowland Hilder. Now many of you will know that name as one of the greatest watercolors of our last century, start again. Hi everybody, and welcome back to the painting channel. Today I'm going to be doing something a little different. I'm actually going to pay homage to Hi guys, well if you